Caroline Marie Brooks is a singer-songwriter, newly certified forest school practitioner, and a member of the Juno Award-winning Good Lovelies. We talk about writing songs about motherhood, how her kids view her career, and her work marrying climate advocacy with the arts. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Shannon.
Thanks for being with me this early morning. Not that early, but just post-school run.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. I have, of course, been a fan of yours. As you know, you've seen me at your shows for several years. Not just as a Good Lovely, though. I'm really love your solo album, Everything at the Same Time. And
So
I
nice.
was
Thanks.
thinking about that today or maybe, I don't know, prepping for this, about what I love about it besides the fact that your songwriting, your style is actually just gorgeous, but not very many people write about motherhood, write songs about motherhood. And that album really encompasses a lot of motherhood topics, and it just feels really, I don't know, really important that somebody is writing music about that. So thanks for being here. Thanks for making music about motherhood. And maybe do you want to talk a little bit about like why that was important for you in that album?
Yeah, so that album, I mean, my my motherhood, maybe just to sort of zoom out a little bit,
Sure.
my motherhood has never been separate from my musical being. So like when my daughter was born, Good Lovelies had an incredibly busy year. In that year, I think we did like 80 shows in her first year of life, which was just, in retrospect, like maybe a little mad. But I just had this feeling like I could do it and it was really important. And I was also kind of the first of my peer group to have a kiddo. So I
Okay.
was like, I, to be honest, didn't want to be left behind. If
Yep.
I can be perfectly honest, it was pretty scary time to think, oh my gosh, is my career going to change? I'm self-employed. Like my career depends on my body moving around the world to make money. It's like
Yep.
really, it was very stressful. But that record came about, I would say, like 8 years after that. So my daughter was 8 when I started writing a lot of these songs, and my son was 5, 4.5, 5. And I was still, for the first time in a long time, it was during it. I did the bulk of that record making and writing during the pandemic, and I was with these little kids in my house, and just reflecting on really the feeling I know many of us have as parents, which is like the days are long, but the years they're really short. Like they're
Yeah.
zipping, they are going so fast, and that sort of tenderness that lies between the frustrations of being a parent on a daily basis and the absolute like love and adoration. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting how these kind of like sit together and sort of in a melange.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that almost every morning trying to get my kids out the door. and as I enter into teenage parenthood, which is like a whole new trip. But yeah, so writing that record, I sort of committed to myself when I was making that album that I would just say things that I was feeling. Like I wouldn't try to veil them in some sort of heavy metaphor or like I just wanted to speak plainly in the
Yeah.
way that I could about what I was experiencing. And that is like the joy and grief of being a parent and knowing that it's impermanent. This life is impermanent and these children will never be exactly as they are in this moment. So yeah, that's where a lot of that feeling of that record came from. Just this like little snapshot of time of what my mother-in-law calls the Camelot of parenthood, which is when your children are small and they need you and
Mm.
you have a very clear purpose as a parent. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
got to keep them alive, got to keep them happy and healthy.
Yeah.
And she told me that when I entered into my 40s. She said, this is the Camelot of your parenthood. And I was like, it really struck me like
Mm.
how that's a very beautiful thought. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that record was sort of trying to capture that feeling.
Yeah, that's nice. I might be the only person on the planet who thought of the pandemic time with my kids as a very special thing,
Mhm,
which I
mhm,
wouldn't have wished for. Obviously,
mhm.
when it came around, I was terrified. I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being this incredibly special time that we got to spend together that we not in any other era, I wouldn't have got to spend that time with my kids in that way. So that Camelot idea that you just said made me think that specific moment felt like that to me. That's really
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's actually how I feel too, because I feel like a little guilty about that time because I know a lot of folks were struggling. I was struggling in different ways,
Oh yeah.
like, of course I wanted to, go and do things, but at the same time, I was like, we were all forced together in this situation, and I'm really grateful that that was the time it happened, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you, and I'm a little further ahead in like, my kids are teens, full on, both of them now,
Okay, okay, yeah.
and I do think I could be wrong, it could be other factors, but I do think that time spent together with us really like, I really just wanted them to be happy and to feel safe. I didn't care if they did online school. I
Mhm.
didn't care about much. Like, it was just like, "Are we happy? Are we safe?" And I really think we developed a bond that continues now, like, they trust me and they talk to
Hmm.
me in a way that I don't know if they would've, like, if we would have had
Oh,
that
that's
time
so
to
interesting.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. There was, like, a certain amount of bonding that happened in that time
A
together.
lot, yeah. You were bonding or you were fighting? Or both. Yeah. So, of course, you just told us you have a son and a daughter,
Yeah.
and so your daughter is the eldest, correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, she's the
she's
teen?
13 now.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
gosh, okay, alright,
Mhm, it's coming.
and I'm sure it has changed over the
Yeah.
course of their lives, and I've seen them on stage with you when they were very small. At this age, like, how do they feel? Do they relate or react to the fact that like, you're a famous person, people know who you are, you are, like, I know you're not, like, Beyoncé, but, like,
My
people
sweetheart says, "You're a very minor Canadian folk celebrity."
there you go. How do they feel about their mom being a very minor Canadian folk
Yeah.
celebrity?
Yeah, it's interesting because my son is not he turns 10 in a few days, and then my daughter's 13, and, like, they like to rib me a lot, like, they like to give me a little bit of a hard time, but they still come to shows, and they
Right,
still bring their friends to shows, at least Good Lovely shows.
amazing.
Um, I think they feel safe in that setting. I think my solo music is a little bit more involves them a little bit more than some of the, Good
Yep.
Lovely's tunes. But, yeah, I would say my daughter is secretly proud.
Yeah.
I did have this really sweet moment where I took her and her friends it was her birthday, and there was, like, a group of, like, 8 12 to 13-year-old girls on the subway. I was with them, and I was sitting sort of just giving them space, and I could hear her talking. She's like, "Yeah, my mom is a Juno." And so I had this moment where I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cute." Like the
Yeah,
fact that she's still and then my son is, like, overtly proud. Like, he takes guitar lessons with this incredible guitar player. His name's
amazing.
Nathan Hiltz. He lives in Toronto. He's an incredible guitar player. And he came home one day and we were playing my son and I were just playing guitar, and he's like, "Mom, you're better than Nate." And I was like, "I'm really not, but thanks."
Aw.
So, yeah, there's like a pride in it, a certain amount of pride that they have, which is really sweet. And I kinda joke about this on stage, like, I myself my parents are folk musicians, so my dad is a singer-songwriter, and, like, there's a period of time in your teens where it's incredibly cringe to have a parent who does this kind of work, especially, like I mean, for me, my dad was doing it fairly often. He did guitar teaching, but, like, I play a lot of shows, and I, sing in front of a lot of people about my kids and my
Yeah,
family, and I imagine there's gonna be a period of time where it's like having knowing what I went through as a
yeah.
teen is not great. But it'll come back. It'll come back because now I get to, like, sit with these songs that my dad's written over my lifetime and just, like, feel so deeply connected to them. It's
Yeah,
very special. I hope my
yeah.
kids have that. And also I have a really strong feeling. I don't know how I'd love to hear about your feelings about this, but, like, all my people are always like, "Are your kids gonna go into music?" And I'm like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't push it at all. I don't wanna have an unhealthy relationship to music. I don't want my kids to feel like they have to live up to something. Like,
Mhm.
that's something I think about a lot.
Mm.
If they like music, great,
Yeah.
go for it, but I'm not gonna force them to take lessons and sit and work on an instrument that they don't love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I teach some singing lessons as well as being a singer, so people have asked me that too. Or they not if my kids will go into music, but like when my kids take music lessons, my son's in violin lessons, for instance,
Mm,
and they're surprised when I'm like, I do not force him to practice. I'm not
yeah.
spending my time like that. And if he doesn't want to do it, I want them to have art and music in their life, and I'd love for them
Mhm.
to know how to do it. And yeah, I'm like, if he doesn't personally want to play it, I'm not sitting there and sitting with a 16-year-old fighting with him over playing
No,
violin.
it's not worth it. It's not
No,
worth it. Yeah.
no, no. And it's not like when I was learning growing up and taking singing lessons, like I practiced when I needed to. I didn't always practice all the time, and it really didn't have anything to do with how much I loved music or not, right? It was a whole
Mhm.
bunch of other teenage
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Normal teenage stuff for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Do your kids still go on tour with you, or is that not a thing yet now that their ages?
You know, you know who likes to come on tour with me is my honey. He loves coming on tour, so he, like, tries to find ways to do it. If I'm
Amazing.
playing a local festival, for sure. Um, the cost of touring is so high that we've stopped a lot now, like, we've really cut back. We are talking about, like, piggybacking onto tours, so if I'm somewhere exciting, them
Yep.
coming towards the end of the tour. Part of the challenge was, as you know, I toured so much with my kids and family,
Mhm.
and it's so nice, and I love hearing them talk about it now. They're like, "Oh, when we were in Germany or when we went to Australia." And it was so wonderful having them there because I didn't have to be missing home. Like, I literally just didn't miss home when they were
Yeah.
with me because they are my home. But then the other side of it is, like, I never got to have a holiday. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
we just recently went on our first family trip in, like, maybe forever. We were trying to remember just the 4 of us, and I was like, "Oh, this is what it's like."
Yeah.
But all that to say, I do foresee, like, times when maybe the kids are a bit older and they can come on as staff, like, doing merch and stuff.
I was
I
just
think
gonna say,
that'll
they're your
happen.
merch people.
Yeah, they are our merch people. They do work the merch table a lot, and
Yeah.
our sales do much better when they do that.
Yes, I would
But
imagine, yeah.
yeah, we try to sorta it's case by case. Like, to be honest, if I'm touring somewhere, like Southern Ontario, they're not super excited about
They
that,
don't care.
but yeah.
Yeah.
If it's Montreal, they might
Mhm.
come for the weekend, you
Right.
know? Yeah,
Okay, so it's
but
opportunistic at this point.
it's very, very opportunistic. It's very
That's so cool.
parasitic, actually. They're like, "We're coming on this tour."
Yeah. You're like, "This is the
Yeah.
one where I wanna be by myself and have,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
a night to myself." No, too bad. Oh, man, that's so funny. So, in recent years, I've been really excited to I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed, we just have a lot of commonalities of interests
Mhm.
that we're
Mhm.
paying attention to, that we're writing about, that we're living, and one that has been really important, to both of us lately is our climate advocacy.
Yeah.
But and I wanted to know if you can remember, like, what made you decide to become, like, vocal, to be public about that in a on a political front, sort of, in support of,
Mhm.
climate justice, not just climate, social justice, all of that.
Yeah, I don't think there was a clear decision made. Like, I remember in grade 5, which was 35 years ago, our school had an environment club. And so I remember very early on thinking about, like, recycling. Acid rain was a big one,
Mhm.
and, that was, like actually, I was talking to a friend yesterday that acid rain was, like, a good news story. It was, like, a really
Yeah.
exciting thing. We're like, "We figured it out as a global community. We can do this thing," and so when climate change started coming like, when we started talking about it or global warming, I was like, "Oh, we can solve this," you know? We've done it before, and, I don't not to digress from your question, but I don't really, like, remember a time where I was like, "I am going to talk about this thing."
Yeah.
Um, I would say it's just been sort of part of who I mean, I wrote a record with my sister and was released in early 2000s. We were a duo called Brooks Sisters, and there are environmental songs on there. Um, so yeah, it's always been part of my, like, heart and it has shaped a lot of who I am. Recently, it's become, I think, more difficult. And I don't know if you can identify with that because I just feel like I'm just yelling into a void. And I
Mm.
feel like there that I'm starting to rethink of like, how do I use my energy? Um, like, how do I use my energy as a singer-songwriter, as like an activist? Although I'm
Hmm.
not like that word is sometimes hard for me to figure
Yeah.
out exactly what that means.
Yeah.
And then how do I like show up for these issues? Because they're all related. Like now it's funny, I used to be like, I'm a climate change activist, but I'm like, no, climate change is a symptom of capitalism and social justice. Like speaking out about Palestine is, I would say that was actually one where I had to make a decision to speak out about Palestine because that was a much more in the moment. There would be repercussions for that for sure, and
Right.
I did choose to speak out about it and felt some repercussions from that. But um, I really don't care
Yeah.
at this point. It's like
Yeah.
at this point I feel like it's so deeply embedded into. Let me back that up. Um, at this point, it's like not saying anything is just not possible.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I have to do it also for my children to see that like it's as much for them. Being quiet is a disservice to them.
Yeah.
So I think they actually get a little annoyed with me sometimes because I'm always talking about like social justice or like what's happening in the US right now, how it could come to Canada, and being really
Hmm.
aware of like what's happening in Ontario, this um, terrible land grab happening by our provincial government. It's just this hoarding of wealth and blah blah blah. I could go on
Hmm.
forever.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes they check out a little bit because
Yeah.
I can get a little intense about it. I'm really conscious of that. I just want to have conversations rather than feel like I'm like, yeah, just throwing information at people.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you have that feeling too.
Oh my God. My kids, my kids take it better than like the rest of my family. My
Mm,
kids, interestingly, I can tell they don't want to hear about it all the time, but my son will come to me out of nowhere and just be like, "Did you hear about this new thing that is
mm,
happening in the States?" And he wants to talk about it, and nobody else wants to talk about it, right? So
mm.
he'll come to me to like offload some of his anxieties, and not because I'm going to tell him it's going to be okay, but just because, as I think you probably experience as well, having somebody to talk to about this stuff just
Yeah,
helps, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And my daughter's she might overtake me. She just wrote an essay in grade 9 English class about the environmental destructive nature of AI. It's like,
Oh, I love her.
yeah, girl. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they don't check out on me. I'm scaring my husband lately because I'm a little bit like, "Hey, privileged white man, maybe you could use your voice a little." And he's like,
yeah.
"I'm not doing anything wrong. Why are you mad at me?" So fair enough.
I know,
I'm
I
being
know. It's a lot. It's like a hard way to move through the world and to, I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from artists who are like Carcy Blanchett, for example.
Me
She's just
too.
like, oh my God. I sat on a panel with her about activism and art, and I felt like such a fraud because she just really puts it out there. And
Oh,
it's so inspiring. It's not my style. And one thing I will say is I remember really clearly, I did my undergrad in environmental studies, and we had Jack Layton was one of our professors, which was incredible. It was a small
yeah.
course. It was like 40 students, and it was like in policy. And he said to us, we need the full spectrum of activists. We need
Mhm,
folks, boarding boats and blocking, shipping channels, but we also need the people who can speak to politicians, who can get in the back rooms of
mhm.
corporations. And so I always try to think of that like we all have a place, whatever it is that we can do, every little thing. And I also think, to your point of like asking for people to do something, is like not gatekeeping how people do it. Just let
Yeah,
people move things forward the way they feel is right for them. And
yeah,
yeah, I think about that a lot. And with my kids too, is it's really similar to not forcing them to do music, is like
yeah,
not forcing them to feel a certain way or to come to protest with me or do these things. How do you want to show up in the world, and how does it feel right for you to show up in the world? Like that's
yeah,
really what I want my kids to feel comfortable in themselves and not like they're
yeah.
trying to live up to some kind of standard.
Yeah, no, yeah, because that backfires in a lot of ways too, if they don't get to be
Yeah.
themselves, their true selves, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
curious if this is related. I feel like it must be. I read that you are working on your forest school practitioner certificate. Yeah. So it feels very related, but I'm wondering if you could talk about like what inspired that. When did you start? What has inspired you to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So my other life, I think, would have been if I didn't go to music full time. If I didn't, you know, meet Carrie and Sue at a specific time and start the Good Lovelies, I probably would have gone into teaching. I think that
Okay.
would have been where I ended up. And I'm pretty sure. um, and I have taken a step back from the road. So I do still tour enough and play, but a few years ago I just made a really conscious decision along with Carrie and Sue that I just was feeling burnt out from this constant cycle of make a record, tour like crazy. We always do this Christmas tour, which is really intense and so much fun. And I was just like feeling like I need to be home with these kids. Like they're getting older. They also need me at home. Like there was like a really sort of couple years there where our home life felt like so chaotic because my partner has a full-time job and we have 2 dogs, and like the kids I'd be like, who's picking up the kids today? I've been calling from Kelowna and trying to figure this out. It was just really chaotic. And I, in that process, was thinking, what are the things that really like make me feel good on a daily basis? It's music, nature, and children. I love being with kids. And so actually my partner, he suggested that I check out Forest School, and I did a bunch of research, and I am certified now. So I run Forest Nature School sessions,
Amazing.
PA day sessions in my neighborhood in Toronto in Cedar Vale Ravine. It's really fun, mostly with like 9 and 10-year-old boys,
Yeah.
which is my son's cohort. And it's really beautiful because it like connects to nature, but it also allows for free play. Like for those of us, and I feel Shannon, you and I are quite aligned, just like forcing kids to sit in a classroom all day. And I was like a really academic kid. Like I loved school. I
Yeah.
loved all of that stuff. But at the same time, it does fail certain children who just
Yeah.
need to be moving, and
Yeah.
being outside and have had some really challenging sessions with, like figuring out how to make kids like be kind to each other and all those
Yeah.
things. But on the most part, I get back from these sessions and just feel really energized for being outside in all weather.
hmm
It's just really fun, and a huge learning curve for me, but feels right. It's a really nice it feels complementary to, like, a creative life, you know?
Amazing. I
Yeah.
would like there to be an adult session closer to me, please,
Yes.
sometime, because
Yes.
I love to be outside, but I am more wussy about weather. So I would need to be signed up and committed to going for it to be a -15 day and for me to still do it.
Yes. Yes, well, there are adult versions of it, and then there are also some that are, like, related to bushcraft, which is really cool.
Oh, very cool.
But my first forest school teaching session where I was in a learning session with all adults, our instructor was like, "Okay, here's a piece of land. Here are your boundaries, and we'd like you to go play." And we're like, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, and we had, like, 20 minutes. It wasn't even that long, but the idea was like she wanted us to play. And
Yeah.
at first I was like, how am I like I don't even know these people. Like, how are we gonna
Y
play together?
yeah.
And within 5 minutes, it was like you fall into this thing where you're like, picking up sticks or making art or like building a structure, or I don't know. It's just it's very healing, like to feel like your only focus is just to be in a space and to let everything else go?
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well,
Mm.
I really yeah. That's beautiful. I don't have it in me to be that person. I am a teacher indoors. I like the outdoors but I'm gonna try to push myself now because you're right. When I suck it up and like dress appropriately and get out
Yeah.
there, it always feels good.
It always
Uh,
feels good.
and so I mean, though maybe you're not touring as much because you're so busy at home, you're also the artistic director of the Restoration Festival at the Mag River Nature Hub. Is that right? In
Mm.
Berks Falls? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's another large undertaking. Can you talk about it? Like, tell us about the Nature
yeah,
Hub, the
yeah.
programming.
So
Yeah.
so, I keep referring to my sweetheart. This is my life partner, Colin Love. He and I have been together a long time, and He has environmental background too. We met in university, both of us taking this program. And he's a outdoor educator. And he and I, we decided to purchase some land in Berks Falls several years ago now. And we've been rehabilitating that land, just like rewilding this land. So it's about 80 acres, and it was cleared very clearly, was cleared for hay, agriculture.
Hmm.
And over the last several years, we've been working to rehabilitate. There was very clearly, we stood there the first week. We were standing there and we was like, this was a water course, you can tell. So we
Okay.
have basically been bringing back the wetland, and have seen endangered species come back to the land.
Oh,
And so
amazing.
we feel like caretakers of this land. And one of our thoughts was, how do we marry this ecological action, this climate action, with love of music and art? And so we sort of combined our loves, and we created the Restoration Festival. So Mag River Nature Hub does a lot of programming outside of the Restoration Festival. We do like education programs, we do tree planting, we do sort of ecological restoration, and then we have these Keystone music festivals. We have one coming up at the end of March. And that is also paired with our first artist retreat, which is focused on nature and art. Yeah, so it's been a really fun journey. We kind of don't know what we're doing, but we also just love it. And we have had so much support from CAPF, which is the Canadian Association of Presenters. It's basically been supporting us to bring artists up to the area, or to pay local artists for these shows. So it's just been really nice to sort of take. When I was talking about like climate action can take on many different forms, and for
Hmm.
us, a big part of it is like speaking about the emergency, or speaking, or like singing or performing, or and we have this year with this artist retreat, we have we have a dancer, we have a songwriter, and we have a spoken word poet who are going
Wow.
to be working for the week on their projects
So
in the
cool.
area. And it's just like, it feels really good to, yeah, to bring all of these I don't want to say things, but bring it all together
Hmm.
in a way to express, so that we don't feel hopeless. Like
Hmm.
that's really what it comes down to, is like finding hope and a reason to believe that we can find a better way.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to get up there one of these years. It's the same weekend, not the March one, but the September weekend is the same weekend as our local music festival here that I'm
I
heavily
know.
involved in. So I'm
We
always like,
moved it.
oh,
I think we
oh,
moved it this year, so
okay.
I'll be in touch.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm happy to hear that.
Mm.
So we've already touched on enough things that you really don't need to be working on anything new, but are there new projects on the horizon people should know about?
Yeah, I mean, whether people should know about it or not, I am working on a new solo record, which
People
is
should
really
know
great.
about it.
I'm kind of afraid to talk about it. When you're like working on something, you're like, oh God, now I really have to do it. But
No.
yeah, I'm sort of, I wouldn't say early stages, but I'm working on a new record with Josh Van Tassel, who made the last Good Lovelies record. And yeah, it's really been interesting to like see what themes are emerging this time, like as
Yeah,
I really focus in on this. I still love the album. I know the album is kind of dying out in a way because of streaming services, but for me, like, the album is such a beautiful encapsulation of, for me, time and place,
mhm,
like just being able to say, here's how I felt in this specific time. Um, and it's nice to release myself on a songwriting level, just to write without a specific audience in mind. And that's what
okay,
my solo music feels like. I can just write for myself, which feels a little indulgent sometimes, but it's been going well. I would say I have a solid chunk of songs, but I'm still writing for that.
sure,
And then the Good Lovelies turned 20 this year, which is
wild.
insane.
Yeah.
So we're planning our annual Christmas tour and some other little things, and I'm going to be speaking to them after this call, as I do every week. I love them so much. We're
Oh,
so lucky to have each other, and you know, life has these sort of waves, and
Hmm.
I feel so grateful to ride those waves with Carrie and Sue because there's just, like, a lot of, like, understanding and really, like, even recently, there was this project we were all, like, feeling, "Oh, we have to do this project, our 20th anniversary is coming up," and then someone was like, "Guys, I'm not really feeling it in my gut," and then I was like, "Me neither," and it was, like, just this nice thing that, like, in another setting, I feel like we would be forced to do things that we don't wanna do, but we've just really gotten to a point where we're like, we just say no to the things that aren't feeling 100% for us, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, like, such a gift to have, and it's also a privilege as well, like, we have some festivals this summer, and we have our Christmas tour in the fall next year, but it's like, I don't know, I just feel really grateful to them for the
Yeah.
space that we all can give each other. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
evident on stage. The three of you together have something really special. So, and say hi to them for me.
I will.
Thank you so much for this. So I'm going to speak to the whoever's out in the ether. You can find Caroline on Instagram and Facebook at Caro Brooks Music. She has a website, carolinemariebrooks.com. You can find the Good Lovelies on their website, goodlovelies.com, and at Good Lovelies on all the socials. And finally, the Mag River Nature Hub is also on Instagram. I don't know if you're on Facebook as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we are, we are.
Great. So
So just,
at
yeah,
Mag River Nature Hub. Yeah. And then
amazing.
magrivernatureHub.ca.
That's
So that's a
amazing.
bunch of places you can find Caroline. And thank you again for your time today. Have fun with your planning with the girls.
Yes. Thank you, Shannon, for all this, good energy and all the work you're doing too. It's really, really appreciated.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun to talk to other mothers doing this. And frankly, whether or not you were a mother, it would have been fun to talk to you. But it's really nice to share. We have a lot of shared I don't know, ethos, and it
Yeah.
feels really great.
Yeah.
All
Thanks.
right. Have a great
Okay.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.